Okay, the impact of immigration in general really depends on where in the economy a person stands. I mean, I think what the research has shown is that one of the important lessons from economics for immigration is that there are distributional impacts. If one is a worker in the receiving country that tends to compete in the labor market with incoming migrants, then what's going to happen is you are competing in a labor market with many more workers. So it's just harder for you to find work, and your wage will probably go down. On the other hand, if you happen to be someone who's hiring immigrants, or if you happen to be someone who's buying the products that immigrants produce, then you're much better off. So the economic impact of immigration really depends on who you are. If you happen to be at work and competing with immigrants, you're not so well off. If you happen to be using immigrants, either as an employer or as a consumer, then you're better off. The economy as a whole could probably be slightly better off, but the gains on net are probably very small compared to the substantial distributional impact. I wouldn't put it as good for rich people or bad for poor people. What I think you have to put it in is that immigration is good for people who use immigrants. And the people who use immigrants include not just wealthy employers, but also include people who buy, like for example in California, it is not uncommon for many families to hire immigrants who mow the lawn, or immigrants who raise the children, take care of the children and nannies, or people to clean the house. You don't have to be very wealthy to be able to use that kind of immigrant, right? So that kind of person will benefit a lot. Now, clearly, the bigger the employer you are, and the more people you hire, the greater the gains, right? But at the same time, all those gains come at the expense of someone else. There are people who could have been doing those jobs, and there are people who now will do those jobs at a much lower wage. And those are the people who lose out, the people who are competing with immigrants for the same kind of work. It depends on who you are, okay? I think from the economic, from the point of view of what's best for the whole economy, it's probably better to have skilled immigration. In other words, have immigrants come in who have a lot of skills to offer and who can contribute a lot to productivity. So I think most economists would agree that skilled immigration is preferable in terms of the economic gains to the receiving country than low-skilled immigration. Now, the problem with that is that not everybody gains. If you happen to be a skilled worker competing for those jobs, then you're clearly worse off. Also, it's not clear that skilled immigration, though it's probably good for the receiving country, is really that good a deal for the sending country. I mean, just think of a poor country that is sending out all its engineers or all its doctors. Are the people left behind really that well off? I mean, are they worse off? Because, I mean, all their skilled workers are leaving the country, and clearly that cannot be good for them. So it really depends on what it is you're trying to accomplish. The problem with that is that even if it's true, it's really only a short-term solution. The reason being that immigrants, when they come in, even though they can now be taxed to help support the older population, well, the immigrants are going to get older at some point, and they're going to have to retire. And who will pay for them? Are you going to bring in more immigrants 30 years down the line to solve the problem that you're delaying? So the way I think about these welfare state issues and public expenditure issues is that, yes, in the short run, immigrants can help. But it's really the way this whole thing is set up that's the problem. A short-run immigration issue, a short-run immigration solution cannot last forever, because at some point the immigrants themselves will become consumers of all these programs. And who will pay for them? I think the best public policy for immigration in the future really depends on a couple of things that are outside the economic arena. And the crucial thing is, what does the country want to accomplish with immigration? If what the country wants to accomplish is to maximize the size of the economic pie, in other words, to maximize national income, then I think the best immigration policy is clear, which is we should admit more skilled immigrants. Okay? Now, that puts aside the concern that when you draw skilled immigration from poor places, the poor places could be worse off. And we're not weighing the well-being of the people left behind very much. And that's a concern. But at the same time, there are cultural issues that one has to address. I mean, economics is not all that determines what immigrants can do and what immigrants do in certain economies, right, in certain countries. So one has to worry about the political consequences. One has to worry about the cultural consequences. I'm an economist, so I tend to focus more on the economic issues, but that doesn't really mean that one should dismiss the cultural concerns or the political concerns because they are not relevant to the economic issue. I think they're very relevant. And so I think that the best strategy is to maximize economic gains, but to do it in a way that is prudent, in the sense that you don't want to cause too much disruption in the other parts of society that immigration could create.